Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a question about your automobile or your car, oil, tires, you name it, I'm here for you. Just consider me your personal car consultant. I'm your car guy, and here from the center of the automotive universe, every Saturday I come to you and I share with you information, and a lot of information to share today. And we're going to take a little trip down south today to Daytona Beach from the Daytona International Speedway, and have our one of our favorite guests on. Terry Sabiston's going to join us because today is a special day. I'll get into that just a little bit later. And I'll take your calls. Hannah will take your calls at 888-227-2546. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When your car isn't stopping like it used to, the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the brake parts and supplies you need to do the job right the first time. And now, for a limited time, you can save 15% when you buy a set of Brake Best pads and 2 Brake Best rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Better answers to your car questions. Bobby Likis Car Clinic, every Saturday from 10 to noon, from the center of the automotive universe, and also from yours truly and our crew here. We want to wish you, again, a Happy New Year. 888 Car Clinic, when I come back. A 2013 Honda Accord came in the shop running rough, stalling, and a check engine light. The vehicle had originally been repaired by another shop. After a thorough diagnosis, we found the vehicle was generating a bad signal from the crankshaft position sensor. This seemed odd as it had just recently been replaced, but the scope doesn't lie. A bad waveform signal needs to be fixed. Our solution? A new crankshaft position sensor from Motorrad. A longtime leader for vehicle thermostats and caps, Motorrad now offers engine management products that are engineered to meet and or exceed OEM specifications. They're designed to perform under severe operating conditions and are resistant to extreme heat. We made the change, and that fixed the car. Motorrad engine management products are manufactured in Tier 1 OEM facilities with top quality qualifications. They undergo comprehensive 100% in-line and end-of-line testing to ensure uncompromising quality. Learn more about Motorrad engine management products and other Motorrad solutions at Motorrad.com. In the Car Clinic service bay this week, a 2013 Ford Escape. The customer was having a hard time cranking the vehicle and had to jump-start the car several times in the weeks prior. They assumed it was a failing battery, but it turned out to be something else. After a close inspection, we found the alternator was supplying very low voltage to the system, which can never be fully charged. We charged the battery, tested it, and confirmed it was still good. We then replaced the alternator and performed a starting system test after verifying proper voltage from the alternator. The starter motor showed an abnormally high current draw, likely damaged from all the cranking of the vehicle with low voltage. Our solution? A new Motorcraft starter and alternator, so we could be sure to fix it right. Both parts were readily available at FordParts.com. Motorcraft parts offer OE-approved specifications and performance for all your Ford and Lincoln repairs. Motorcraft, right part, priced right, and you can learn more about Motorcraft starters, alternators, and other high-quality vehicle-specific parts at Motorcraft.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Remind you, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you so you can call us. Not every radio station will air both hours, but we're here for East Coast and West Coast. So for all you West Coasters, wake up. I mean, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Who wants to talk about cars at 7 o'clock in the morning? I'll tell you who. The guy that got up at 5 to go to work at 6:30 and his car won't start. That's who. So in the meantime, we're going to take calls from, well, actually, a couple of calls are already in the queue, but please try to get in earlier today at 888-227-2546. I see that we have Fred. And Fred called last week. I asked him to call back, and also I also see that we have Terry Sabiston. So we're going to go to Daytona Beach first to take a quick, a little tour of what's going on at the Daytona International Speedway with the Motorsports Director for WNDB 1150 AM News Talk Radio there in Daytona Beach, Terry Sabiston. Welcome. Glad to have you in the house.
Glad to be in the house, Bobby. Exciting day here at Daytona International Speedway, the Rolex 24. Yeah. But we got a little exhibition race going on right now with the history of the Rolex 24. They've rolled out all the old race cars that have been sitting here in the fan zone looking pretty for a couple of days, and they're out on the track now for about 25 minutes. We've got cars from dating back to the 60s. They got three Corvettes that come from about 1976 that you would not believe the motor under the hood on those things. But it's an exciting day here. You cannot see 1 square inch of Daytona International Speedway that doesn't have something on it, whether it be a tent, a camper, or people. This place is packed to the gills in the infield, getting ready for the Rolex 24 rolling off at 1:40 this afternoon.
Well, the Rolex 24 is, I would say, I know the Daytona 500 is a huge race. We all know that. And then the Coke Zero, that race is what the July the 4th celebration, right? Still is. But this race is the creme de la creme. And folks, think about this. Think about in your worst day, or maybe your best day if you're a car guy, that you really abuse your car and you run it as hard as you can just for the heck of it. Well, imagine that you've got a race car that is being driven that way for 24 hours. So, Terry, give us an overview of how it starts and how it goes through the night, and take us through the little, tour of the 5-minute tour of what's going on there.
Well, think about this. There's 38 cars in this race. There's 4 classes. The speeds vary in the classes, so you've got other 140. So you got about 6 hours in the light, and then the sun goes down. And then it's a whole nother ball game, and you got to have night vision. They don't crank the lights up to full power like they do for a NASCAR race. And drivers say you don't really need that much light. The light doesn't help you any. You can't see, the other car's the only thing you got to worry about. But then think about that, 12 hours in the dark all the way through the night. And that's when things happen out here. That's the exciting part. And under the lights, this place is unbelievable. We've got a giant Ferris wheel in the backstretch. There's so much going on in the infield. But under the lights, the real show's on the track. You see the flames coming out of the exhaust as they're downshifting going into the corners. Just the power of these motors and the drivers. They got 4 drivers to a team, so you got to swap drivers out. And think about that. I was watching yesterday. They were practicing changing drivers so they wouldn't waste time when they were in the pits for that. But and then the sun comes up, and it's who survives to sunrise is what's important. If you can make it to Sunday morning, then all you got to do is get back to about 1:40 in the afternoon and finish up. But that's the tough part. 24 hours flat out. We might have the fastest ever Rolex 24. In the Roar, they broke the track record unofficially because it was testing, and expect to see some laps up there in those ranges. The weather's perfect. There's not a cloud in the sky. And at this time last year, it was raining sideways. So the crowds have come out for this. Like I say, right now we got the historic squirt cars on the track, and you can hear them in the background. And it's just so much fun to see these old race cars that have been sitting like they museum pieces out on the track now doing 150, 180 miles an hour.
So, Terry, I understand that there are some drivers there at the Rolex at 24 that had also won the Indy 500, and one of those drivers, as I believe, is Alexander Rossi. And of course, or I may be confusing the two, but I believe that there's the Kyle Busch. I don't know if he's in that or not. Helio Castroneves and Juan Pablo
You got it.
Montoya, Ryan Hunter Ray. And just for your information, I was privy to the Indianapolis 500, and I was in the pit wall when this test driver, this was the 19th of May, it was before, 3 or 4 years ago, before the Indy 500, and there was a test driver there named Alexander Rossi, and he was testing the cars, and that was the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 because they had all the tires, the winners stamped on all the race tires, and I was a guest in one of the race camps, and lo and behold, Alexander Rossi won that year. So I got an invite. Yeah, but that was when he outran everybody because he didn't stop for fuel. And that was so interesting. So there's a lot of scientific, besides the racing and the technology, there's a lot of science and planning and plotting that goes into winning a race like that.
Well, think about it. For 24 hours, it's not just the car, it's the drivers. And that's the other thing. We've got an autograph session coming up here in about 45 minutes. One of the world's largest and with the most stars ever. All the drivers, you figure there's 38 cars, 4 drivers to a car, so almost 100 drivers will be out here for the autograph session here in the fan zone. And you'll get a second to talk to the Indy 500 winner, a Formula One driver, and a NASCAR champion, all while you're getting their autographs. And that's the fun of this, too, is these drivers are accessible. The garage is accessible. You can go through the garage while things are going on and watch them working during the race if they're having issues in the garage. It's just, it's so fan interactive, and it's so much fun, and it goes for 24 hours, and you know where I'm going to be for the next 24 hours.
That's for sure. Well, you know, you're a lucky dog is all I got to say, and it's always great to hear from you, and I'm just really proud that we have, and our Car Clinic audience has the opportunity to hear what's going on in real time from Daytona, because Daytona is the racing capital of the world. The Daytona International Speedway is the only stadium, race car stadium in the world, is it not?
And it is, and that's one thing that's changed too. The new stadium, we will have, used to be everybody stayed in the infield. With the new stadium, you can sit up in those stands and you can almost see the whole course from the stadium, looking over the infield road course and the backstretch. So we will have the section of the stadium that's right there near the road course will fill up as the day goes on. And that's where I'm going to end up this afternoon for a little while, because it's one thing to sit here and watch them go by in the infield. It's another to watch them and follow them all the way around the track like you do for the Daytona 500.
So Terry,
it's just so much fun out here. The garage literally is packed. And I'm standing over a brand new, and that's just it. All these cars are new for this year, race cars. And Porsche here, looking over in the fan zone. Porsche, there's a Aston Martin, and it's just so much fun to be able to. I'm on top of the fan zone, looking over the garage. There are hundreds of, I would say even 1,000 people packed around these cars in the garage. And right now, everybody's in the fan zone and looking out over at the track, watching historic cars all along the infield road course. This is just the greatest place to be for sports car racing. They're showing off the best. You have just about every top sports car here, from Lamborghini to Ferrari. The new Corvettes are out here. It's a great day at Daytona International Speedway.
well, it sounds like it. I'm going to let you go, but just one final question, and there's no way that anybody can know this, but do you have a favorite for the fastest, the fastest class of the car there? Who might win?
Well, I've always kept an eye, ever since Wayne Taylor Racing is one of my favorite teams. It's come up with his sons being part of the team. This is the first year, I think, in a while that one of his sons isn't driving the car, but that number 10 Cadillac, I think, is a car to pick. They seem to have the endurance and the ability. And Wayne Taylor Racing, he's retired from racing, but he's won this race several times. They just have what it takes and know what it takes to put this car into victory lane. They've done it before, and I think that's their goal this year, to do it again, is to put Cadillac on top. So it's the Daytona prototype number 10 Cadillac, and it's going to be a great day watching that Cadillac and see what it does out front.
Terry Sabiston, Motorsports Director for 1150 News Talk Radio there, WNDB in Daytona. Terry, it's always great to have you in the house. I'll let you go, and sure appreciate the report, and hang in there. Enjoy your next 30 hours. You're going to be tired at the end of the race, but you'll be absorbed in speed, power, noise, and just the excitement. Always good to hear from you from Daytona.
Thanks, Bobby. Have a great day. Live from Daytona National Speedway, Terry Sabiston from WNDB.
There you have it, folks. It doesn't get any better than that. I'm glad the weather was good this year, and because that's really always a challenge when you have a race car, because of the rains and all those sorts of things. So I want to take this opportunity to wish a special happy birthday to Amy Boyd, Fabio, our illustrious producer's mom. Happy birthday, Amy, from Bobby Likis and crew. Folks, I'll take your calls when I come back. Don't touch that dial.
O'Reilly.
A rough-running engine could be suffering from buildup of fuel and oil deposits, but Seafoam motor treatment for $7.99 at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Clean out built-up sludge and improve fuel economy with Seafoam motor treatment on sale for $7.99 each at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise in Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at Motorrad.com. Folks, the most common cause of poor performance and fuel economy in today's gasoline engines is carbon buildup. Carbon's a byproduct of burning gasoline. The detergents found in today's top-tier gasolines help, but not enough to prevent the problem, especially in GDI or gasoline direct injection engines. Enter Berryman products and their new intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner. It's easy to use and rated as one of the best carbon-removing products available. Experts recommend decarbonization every 15 to 30,000 miles to help restore lost power and improve fuel economy. Berryman intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner is professionally formulated for use in all fuel-injected gasoline engines. It contains polyethylamine, or PEA, the most potent detergent available. It's safe on catalytic converters and O2 sensors and can be applied using the universal application accessories included. Berryman's intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner comes complete with everything needed to apply the product, including excellent instructions. There's even a how-to video at BerrymanProducts.com. Get your mileage and performance back today with Berryman. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning in every Saturday here, Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by our partners at the Car Care Council. If you're traveling this winter, a little reminder from our partners, remember to follow the 3 P's of car care: prevent, prepare, and plan. You'll save money and you'll avoid breakdowns. You can learn more at carcare.org. Let's take a call from Fred. Fred, thank you so much for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, thank you.
Well,
I called last week, and we couldn't make it to the end of the conversation. So anyway, my call is, and I called you a few months ago about the self-driving cars.
Right.
And last Saturday, they talked about this Samsung 5G V2E system.
Yes.
That helps the cars see around corners and things like that.
Right.
And what I'm looking for is maybe an update on what's going on with the self-driving cars, and also the BMW experimental car they're going to hopefully put out sometime this year or next year.
Well, that's going two ways, actually. I'm glad that you called back, Fred, because this week the New Jersey legislature passed an EV bill, and folks are talking about, while we're talking about, and Fred's talking about self-driving cars, we're also talking about the proliferation of the EV, and both the New Jersey Senate and Assembly passed an EV legislation. It was a bipartisan margin of 27-12 and 65-9, and so the bill really codifies a series of key EV mandates, including meeting the obligations under the Advanced Clean Cars program. Basically, and also Governor Cuomo in New York is going to sign a bill, Department of Public Services, and this is all about building the infrastructure, helping to build the infrastructure so that people that are interested in buying an EV car. In fact, I had our office manager, Jan, come in this week, Fred, and she says, well, I was going through some show prep and things, and I told her about that. And she said, well, I don't know. I'd be nervous about stopping to buy gas or buy battery power, is what she was referring to. But that's not going to be a problem, because when you have, like New York, and you have New Jersey, and of course California, and other states and other legislatures that are going to give incentives, and that's what this is about, build power stations like gas stations, and then give incentives for people who are interested in buying EV cars. The more you see about that and hear about that, the more evidence there is that we will see that. Now, with regard to the V to E, which means the vehicle to everything, V to X is what it's about, but it's V to everything. And that car, Fred, that we ran that clip. I don't guess you have that handy, do you, Fabio? Do you? Yes.
I think I can put it back on.
Well, all right, would you put it back on? Yeah, and sometime a little later in the program we'll run it. We have some B-roll, and Fred, this particular vehicle and Samsung was so thorough that literally you're coming up to imagine a brick wall or a building that is a tall building that you can't see around until you get to the corner. I mean, imagine that you're walking on the sidewalk. Well, obviously, when you turn the corner, I mean, how many times have all of us like bumped into someone because you can't see and they can't see you? Well, in this scenario, well, it wasn't a scenario. It was in this concept that was there at the Consumer Electronics Show. Samsung had the software where that vehicle can see even there was a woman pushing a baby buggy. Now, obviously, how's that happen? Obviously, they're going to use the telephone, your cell phone, as a GPS, a locator, and then the car has a GPS. So it doesn't take much of an imagination. Pardon me. It doesn't take much of an imagination, Fred, to understand how that works. The challenge is everyone has to be connected in order to make it work. And to that end, I don't know if you tuned in 5 or 6 years ago, but there was I don't know how many millions of dollars spent in Detroit to create a testing grounds for self-driving automobiles and for V2V, vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity, because every car, every new car as we know it, has its own, new car maker has their own proprietary software. I mean, we have to put up with that in the automotive repair, except when it comes to vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity. They will all use the same platform. They will all use the same type of connectivity so that there can be it's universal. Otherwise, it can't work. But I'm really interested. As far as the BMW question, I haven't put enough time into that particular scenario, that particular item to talk about it. Can you shed some light on it?
No, I can't.
Well,
I would like to be able to, but I can't.
Well,
but I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Excuse me. I heard on the news in the last couple of days that Uber was putting some self-driving cars on the road. Don't know where, but
well, of course,
you there?
I'm there. Yeah, I hear you. I do know this. In Las Vegas, there are definitely self-driving cars that are running the strip up and down, and that's for the last year or better. And so there are millions of miles, and then there are semi-trucks that are also using self-driving techniques, and semi-trucks that are using electric motors. And you know what's really, really telling or like eye-opening when you think about it, Fred? What does it take to move a car from electric battery? Well, you got to have a big battery, a lot of batteries and motors. But when you think about, and then you think about how long it'll last. Now you magnify that or multiply that times the weight of a semi and the gross weight of the trailer. That is huge to even consider that you're going to have that much power and life for a truck driver to go cross country. So it really is interesting. But the one thing for sure, technology, you cannot stop. And technology in and of itself is not great. But technology, when it's used for the proper application, increases the safety of our lifetimes and transportation, and also enhances our life, period. So I love technology. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Oh, absolutely. I'm an engineer, so I do love it.
Good. Well, look, here, let's do this. I will make a note this week and bone up on the BMW concept, and you call next week, first hour, and we'll just give a report on this as it evolves. I really, really appreciate your call, and it really is interesting to me, and that's really what it's all about, to have a fun show. It doesn't have to be about, repairing a hose on a carburetor or a fuel injector. You know what I'm saying?
And by the way, I'm calling from Daytona Beach, and from my home, I can hear the cars around the track.
Yeah, that's really something. I wish I was home with you right now.
Back in the days when I could see, I was at the track all the time. But
hey, my friend, thank you so much for the call for Daytona, and I love that area. Next time I come down there, I'll announce it far enough in advance, and we can meet face to face one day. But again, thank you, Fred. Appreciate your call.
That'll be great, and thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So, folks, let's go to Nebraska and take a call from Ross. Ross, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, good morning to you, too. It's great to talk to you. I talked to you a couple months ago about a project that I want to do, a 32 Ford with a flathead in it. My question is, the question is this. It would be a reproduction car that I would do, not an original. So how does laws apply to a vehicle like that, as far as, do they have to have catalytic converters?
No. There's a waiver because those cars are old. I'll give you an example. A longtime friend of mine had a 55 Chevrolet made, 55, and it was a steel body. It was a new car. Although it used an original 55 frame that had been powder coated and and updated and suspension, but all other aspects of it were all new, including the metal body. And anyway, that vehicle didn't have any emissions on it, and it was street legal because there was a waiver. And SEMA, the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association, is really big on trying to protect the classic cars from the laws. So by and large, those vehicles do not have to meet any mandates. But now I say that, I'm not sure that's, well, it has to be true in California because that's where, California's ahead of us in a lot of ways. So if they allow classic cars on the streets without converters, then of course every state would. But I would not worry at all about meeting emissions regulations if I were building a street car. I mean, a classic street car like you're gonna put together. But you know what would be really neat? Now, I love the fact that you're thinking flathead, because there's nothing that sounds the same as a starter motor engaging into the flywheel of a flathead Ford. It's just something about it that it is absolutely Henry Ford all the way. And there's nothing, there's only two cars that I can think of that idle, well, for the era, for that time of year or time of era, and that was a Studebaker Hawk with a 256 engine that idles so smoothly you couldn't believe it, and then a flathead Ford it's right, and it idles so smoothly that it just purrs, literally purrs. So as you get further into your product, your project, would you keep me informed?
I will do that. But don't hold your breath on it. So it's going to be ways down the road, I'm sure. But yeah, there's nothing like the sound of a flathead with fuel.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be right here every Saturday. So you keep me up. Oh, and by the way, you got to stay tuned, Ross, because Stuart Fowle is going to be joining us. In fact, he's in the queue now, and we're going to wait till after the break. He's a GMC communications manager, and he's going to share some information about the GMC. Now, understand, folks, and Fred, Ross, I'm not a truck guy, but the GMC truck has my attention. I think it is one of the most attractive, I don't know, just something about it. I know the grill is a lot of it for me, but they're taking that vehicle to a whole new level. And I know that a GMC and a Chevrolet Silverado, I know it's the same running gear, same everything, except the exterior and the interior. But I've got a lot of questions for Stuart, and so I'd like for you to stick around, and folks would like for you to stick around. And Ross, always great to hear from Nebraska. Keep me updated on your project when you get started, okay?
Okay, and there's nothing like a dual exhaust on a flathead.
Yeah, I know, sure. Okay, I'll be back, folks. A 2015 Ford Escape recently came into the shop, 120,000 miles and going strong, but it was starting to hesitate, and the customer also complained of declining fuel economy. This 2-liter turbocharged engine is GDI, or gas direct injection, and special maintenance is needed in certain areas, particularly the fuel system. We suspected carbon buildup, and sure enough, using a borescope through the spark plug hole, there was definite evidence of carbon buildup. GDI engines are different in the way they inject fuel, and it can create some issues with repair and maintenance. That's why it's important to use products rated for GDI, like Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kit. Each step of the process is designed with GDI engines in mind. We use the kit, and after 2 weeks on the road, the car is performing noticeably better, and MPG has improved a bit. Learn more about Berryman's 4-step professional air and fuel management maintenance kits and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, folks. A great first half today. And coming up, as I mentioned, is Stuart Fowle, GMC Communications Manager. You may or may not have heard about the next generation Yukon and the Yukon XL. And to that end, that's why we've invited Stuart to join us today. Stuart Fowle, GMC Communications Manager. Stuart, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Really excited to be on, Bobby. Thanks for having me.
I got to say this before I get started, Stu. That is one gorgeous truck. I mean, those in the market for a premium full-size SUV will want to really pay attention. So I'd like for you to share with us. I understand that GMC just revealed the next generation 2021. That's a 2021 GMC Yukon and Yukon XL. Describe this vehicle for us and give us some information about it.
Absolutely, Bobby. And before I get into the Yukon, we've actually had a really huge week at GMC. So we started it last week, revealing a new 2021 GMC Canyon mid-size pickup truck. It's a really beautiful truck, a new AT4 version of that. That means a more off-road fun version of the Canyon. We also previewed a new GMC Terrain compact SUV that'll come out later this year. We had a new commercial that aired on TV during the NFC playoffs over the weekend, last weekend, about our Carbon Pro pickup bed. So that's in our new GMC Sierra pickup truck, and it's a bed made of carbon fiber. It's the most durable, most corrosion-resistant, lightest pickup truck bed that you can get on the market. And if you haven't seen the ad, go find it on YouTube. We threw all sorts of stuff at this bed, and it did not crack. A couch, garden gnomes, all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, it's been a really busy week at GMC, but certainly the highlight of it has been the new Yukon. And Yukon's always been a great vehicle for us. The 2021 gets so much better in every way. For the first time ever, we'll offer a Yukon AT4, which again is our off-road sub-brand within GMC. So the Yukon AT4 has more aggressive approach and departure angles for off-roading. It has an air suspension that raises and lowers the truck. You can go up 2 inches for going off-road. It also automatically lowers down on the highway to save fuel. Really cool look with that AT4. But most of our Yukon customers go to the Yukon Denali, and in fact, a lot of those customers, they don't even say they drive a GMC or a Yukon. They just say, I drive a Denali. And there's real cachet behind that name for this group. And we wanted to do something special for them with the new one. So the Yukon Denali for 2021 has an entirely different, more upscale interior than any of the other Yukons. It has a reconfigured dash. It has beautiful open-pore woods, 4 different color combinations that you can get inside of that thing. We really went all out for the new Yukon Denali because we know those customers are very passionate about those trucks. It has the same magnetic suspension that we offered before that comes from sports cars and makes a big SUV that handles a lot like a smaller vehicle. So huge amount to come for the Yukon, a lot of really great tech in it as well. We have a camera that turns the rear view mirror into a camera display. So if you have 6, 7, 8 people in your truck, you can use this mirror to magically look through all of them and still see what's behind you. We have 9 different camera views, including a 360 camera. We have some different cameras that work really well for trailering. We have a 15-inch head-up display that puts all the information you need right on your windshield so you don't have to look down. This is an incredibly techy, cool, exciting truck for us.
Well, I just don't know where to start because the points that you touched on, number one, the rear view mirror, what a safety factor and how convenient that is, number one. Number two, the heads-up display for me is a part of the new car industry that is totally missing, and I'm glad to see that GM recognized that and came up. Did you say 15-inch HUD?
Yeah, 15-inch. So some of our previous ones have been quite a bit smaller, and this one is huge. It's really great, really clear, crisp display in that. Yeah.
And folks, just for your information, if you've never driven a car or a vehicle with an HUD, a heads-up display, you should, because what happens is you can literally, without taking your eyes off the road, you get this extra input as to how fast you're going, lane changes. It's just over the top. Let's shift gears, Stuart. Take us under the hood of the new 2021 Yukon.
So there are three choices under the hood of the new 2021 Yukon. They all come with a brand new 10-speed automatic transmission, really refined, really nice transmission. The base engine for the new Yukon is a 5.3-liter small block V8, 355 horsepower. We also offer an upgrade to a 6.2-liter, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. Really incredible performance, best-in-class performance out of this 6.2-liter. And then all new for us and really exciting is a 3-liter Duramax diesel. So we have never offered a diesel Yukon before, and we just started offering this engine in the Sierra pickup truck, and it's off to a really great start. It's the most efficient vehicle that we've ever built in the pickup truck world, and we haven't announced fuel economy for the Yukon yet, but we expect to get really great results out of that as well. So incredible amount of torque, really cool performance out of that diesel.
We're talking with Stuart Fowle, GMC Communications Manager. So, Stuart, just a couple more questions. As I understand, the vehicle will be built in Texas, and if so, when might we expect the new Yukon to start showing up on the showroom floors?
You're absolutely right. It's probably built in Arlington, Texas, as it has been for a couple of decades now. They are working through the plant right now to get it up and running for the new generation. They're finishing up some of the current Yukons as well. We expect to have a new Yukon available in showrooms across the country this summer in 2020.
Okay, two more questions. One's a trick question, and then one's an easy question. Well, it's my show, man. So, which is your favorite?
You make the rules, huh?
Yeah, I do. Which is your favorite of all the techie things? Which one's your favorite?
I think that new air suspension is really cool. So the ability to be able to raise it up in off-road conditions and then come back down when you're on the highway. It's the best of both worlds. It allows you to be more capable, but also more efficient. It has a mode to lower down if you're loading things or people into the truck. It drops a full 2 inches down, and it also makes a more comfortable cloud-like ride. So.
Wow.
That air suspension enables so much.
Well, you're ahead of me. The HUD is my favorite, but I can see where
it's pretty cool too.
It is way cool. Well, I got to thank you for joining us on car. One more question. So, where can we find more information about the new 2021 Denali?
You can find more information at gmc.com. There's a whole page all about all the cool stuff that we've talked about today.
Terrific. Stuart Fowle, GMC Communications Manager. Stuart, just great to have you here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic today. Thanks for your time, and thanks for the information, and all your associates who made this over-the-top GMC new 2021 come to life.
Thanks for having me on, Bobby.
How cool is that? I mean, and as I said, of course, to Stuart, was about the 15-inch HUD. And folks, I don't know if you've ever driven a car with HUD heads-up display, but when you drive a vehicle with a heads-up display, at first you say, well, gosh, this is a little disconcerting, because but it only takes probably 2 miles at the most before you say, I wish every car had this, because literally suspended in midair is the speedometer, road, lane change warning, and all the pertinent information that you need, that you normally would look down at the cluster and then back up at the road, but it's suspended in midair just above the hood, and you'd swear that it was in a clear cloud at the front of the car. It really is. That's my favorite option from safety, and well, maybe not from safety. The ABS and others are the favorite there, but with regard to enjoying the driving experience, an HUD it has to be definitely on my next bucket list. Let's go to Paul and take his call. Paul, thanks for holding there. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
How you doing?
Terrific. It's just a great show today, and how lucky I am to be able to interact with the folks that talk about cars that are coming out that aren't on the street yet. So it's really neat. And sometimes I'll ask. I'll just mention, well, I'd like to drive one of those, and I did that a couple of times. And Kia sent me a K900, and Cadillac sent me a XLR, which was which was a really neat car. It was I have to say, the Cadillac electronics was way too complicated, not sophisticated, too complicated as compared to the K900. The K900 Kia has the best. Now, this information's from 2015, but in the 2015 year, the K900 electronics as compared to the Cadillac, I'll tell you, in less than an hour, I mastered the K900 electronics, and with the Cadillac, which is an EV car, was a hybrid. It took me 7 hours. And I say 7 hours because I spent 3 hours in the shop here when they delivered the car, and then I went home in my driveway and spent another 3 hours, and then I drove the car for a week, and I still never really felt comfortable with it. And I'll never forget, I said in my own little infinite wisdom, I wish the engineer that made this car would take it home to his wife and say, here, honey, work this. Show me how it works. And you would either see a divorce or you'd see another engineer, because I can tell you. Anyway, so much for that. But that's a true story, and I made videos on both of them. What can I do for you today?
I have a F-150 Ford Lariat pickup crew cab, and on my driver's seat, it will not the back will not recline, nor will it has heated and air conditioned seats. Mm-hmm. Neither will the air conditioning or the heat part of the seat work. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I've had people tell me, well, you just need a new seat track or you need this, and I don't want to take someplace and all they do is change parts. Well, I want to go somewhere and tell them, okay, this is what I feel that needs to be done, and how can we fix this?
Well, the first thing that I would do would be to check for any technical service bulletins. So in other words, so you call me so you can be, you can get a heads up so that you don't spend a lot of money needlessly. And I love that, and I appreciate that. So the first thing that I would do before I started to perform tests on the system, which has to be done, is I would go to the AllData, which, as you know, I've talked about AllData for years, alldata.com, ALLDATA.com. I would go there to see if there are any technical service bulletins relevant to the power seat or the air condition or the seat period, because if there's any software updates or if there are any shortcomings or issues that happen with that vehicle, they're going to be listed more than likely. They're going to be listed as a technical service bulletin. And a lot of times, I find, in fact, on my car, and which is a 13 Jag, that there was a sticky button issue, and I was going to sell the car. I got so disenchanted with the car, and I was going to sell the car, and because you couldn't, every button you touched on the vehicle was sticky, and it's a problem that a lot of cars, Audi and Jag and Mercedes-Benz and I don't know the list of others, but they being the OEMs, Paul, they put the black plastic control. Now, let's take the radio control. It's a little square, up, down, left, and right, and they hit the center button for a different source. So that one button on the left side of the steering wheel has 5 different functions, plus you got the 2 paddle shifters, plus you got the cruise control, plus you got the radios on the center stack, all those buttons, every single, even the seat adjusting buttons had this stickiness on it. And it took me, I worked a year and a half trying to figure out how to, and finally I ruined the buttons on the shifter because I used a strong solvent, and I had to buy a new shifter. It cost me $1,000. $1,000.
Right.
Because the buttons, of course, that's all the switches.
Right.
So I called Jag to get help, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll help you." Anyway, I got an offer for help for $5,800 estimate, discounted, to fix all the sticky buttons in my 13 Jag. And guess what? I found a post in Germany that used a certain chemical, and I cleaned them myself. And I had to take it all apart, and it was tedious. But I will tell you, I now my feeling for the car is restored. So but to talk about yours quickly, I'm out of time here. I just want to tell you that you have to go to a shop and have them to test the body control module and how it talks to the seat, because the body control module is what controls the seat. And there'll be a computer for the seat that is controlled by the body control module. So that's what your keyword is.
Real quickly, would that module be different than the module for the passenger seat? Because the passenger seat is fine.
Yes, it would be. It would be individual. So you could even have a switch.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it could have a switch. But the point is, the short story is, there must be some tests performed before you spend money. So agree to an hour's test, and then you'll be happy. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. So a new affiliate of the week, KJFF Straight Talk 1400 AM. And folks, that's in Jefferson County, special new affiliate for Car Clinic. We love you. Thanks for airing Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated, and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, you never want to get surprised by a dead battery. A vehicle's original battery generally lasts about 3 to 5 years, but many fail long before then. Next time you're in for an oil service, have the technician test your battery. Better now than too late. Today's vehicles have start-stop systems, navigation, radio amplifiers, electric fuel pumps, 25 or more onboard computer modules, and serious electronic controls that depend on a strong, fully charged battery. Make sure the car you're driving has a healthy battery. Make yourself a note. Go to autobatteries.com and see for yourself how a battery can keep you safely driving down the road or put you on the side, just like that. At autobatteries.com, you'll see battery technology, battery testing, how to choose the battery, how to jumpstart your battery, and more about AGM batteries, my choice. I'm not here to make you a battery expert, rather to help you better understand why a reliable battery is essential for your road trips. Go to autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We already have 1 hour in the books, and we had a live report from Terry Saveston in Daytona. Today is starting at about 1:30, 1:40 Eastern Time, the Rolex 24-hour endurance race. And it really is an endurance race. They have 5 different classes down there on the same track. And imagine you're driving the fastest car running 220 miles an hour, and I'm driving the slowest car in a different class, of course, running 180 miles an hour. And we both come on the same 35 mile per hour sharp hairpin curve at the same time. Who goes first? And that is part of the, and this is 24 hours a day. Rain, shine, doesn't matter. And I'll tell you something, every one of those race cars has a windshield wipers, headlights, and brake lights, and alternator, and all the things that you don't think about that race cars should have because they run 24 hours. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you this morning in part by Berryman Oil Extender. An engine that runs, it slowly depreciates and depletes the additives in the oil. The Berryman Engine Oil Extender is a super premium engine oil additive formulated to extend the life of all in-service gasoline and diesel engine oils by up to 50%. You can learn more at berrymanproducts.com. That's berrymanproducts.com. I am a believer and a user of additives. Call me, 888 Car Clinic. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element UltraStat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The UltraStat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The UltraStat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad UltraStat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. Folks, a 91 Lumina came into the shop this week with a 3.1-liter V6 leaking coolant. The customer said there was coolant coming from the front of the engine and was worried it may need costly repair. After diagnosis, we confirmed it had a failing head gasket. Checking the labor guide for times, adding the cost of the head gasket set, plus coolant, oil, and filter, and miscellaneous, the repair would definitely cost more than this vehicle was worth. Not the holiday present our customer was hoping for. So we provided another option, K-Seal. K-Seal is a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging and help prevent future leaks. One bottle completely sealed the leak within 10 minutes, and our customer was very happy. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like O'Reilly Auto Parts. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Folks, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you with Bobby Likis Car Clinic from our studios that we call the center, located in the center of the automotive universe, because the studios are actually located within a 15,000 square foot automotive service shop, some 48 years in operation. And Car Clinic has been airing Bobby Likis Car Clinic, our network that we created, for 28 years. So I'm 28 years on air and 48 years in the automotive service. And I've seen cars change and the technology change. But one of the things that remains consistent is that we're here, and my goal is to be your personal car consultant. And I want to welcome a new affiliate to the Car Clinic family, KJFF Straight Talk 1400 AM, and a shout out to Ryan Reinhammer and also program director and Les Tuttle, who is the operations manager at Car Clinic's newest affiliate, KJFF Straight Talk 1400 AM. And folks, KJFF holds the title of being Jefferson County's only daily medium, chronicling air news and information and, well, all the information that you need to figure out what's going on in your daily lives. So thanks to KJFF for broadcasting Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We appreciate you, and I'd love for you folks there in Jefferson County to give us a call 10 till noon Eastern Time every Saturday. 888 Car Clinic, that's 888-227-2546. We'll take a call from Kansas now. Phil, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hello. I have a 2012 Chevrolet pickup, and it's a farm vehicle. And I actually have three pickups that have had the same problem with all three vehicles. I have a Ford and two 2012 Chevrolets. The problem we're having with them is these carbon canister filters that are in the frame down below. Well, first the pickup will get to where it won't take fuel. Is there any answer to this problem? I've taken it to the local shop. They've blowed it out. They've tried about everything possible other than replace it. When I replace them, they're very expensive. And, of course, they only want to sell General Motors product. Is there an aftermarket product that either is a larger canister or a more sufficient canister with a way to breathe without sucking all that dirt that's actually being generated underneath these farm vehicles? Because once they plug up, they're just a pain. They don't run right. They won't take fuel. And it's with every one, Ford, General Motors, all of them.
You don't feel,
I hear it from everybody.
I feel your pain, and as you were thinking, I said, what would I do? What would I? The short answer is there are no larger canisters. The aftermarket canister would work just as well as a factory canister. The challenge is you live in such or these vehicles live and run in such an environment, a dirty environment. It would seem to me what I would do, that's an interesting concept here. So here, my fix-it mind starts kicking into gear. What I would do, Phil, is I would look at the filter inlet for either of those units. In other words, you got some low ones, maybe you have thrown them away, but see where the dust is entering, and then go to that area, and let's just say that, I'm trying to think how that works. See, they're not vented to the atmosphere, but obviously they're not vented to. See, they're not, but there are solenoids that open and close when the engine is drawing the vapors. So if the ambient environment is clogging up some breathe hole, you should be able to determine which breathe hole. And I've never really looked at one of those modules to determine. I mean, usually there's a solenoid that goes bad, so it's an electronic issue. In your case, it's different. So what I would do is I would take an O1 apart, and I would determine where it breathes. And where it breathes, of course, if there's a diaphragm, and there are diaphragms in there, they have to be drawn in with vacuum, and then or pressure, and then they have to be released to the atmosphere. So obviously there's some vent hole somewhere in that system in one of those canisters assemblies. And folks, we're not talking about the old carbon canister here that used to be under the hood of a car. We're talking about an expensive module. And Phil, ironically, the Thunderbird, when they came out in 2003 with the restoration, restored T-Bird, they mounted that canister. You're talking about your trucks. They mounted, Ford did, their canister on the frame, and you have to drop the independent rear suspension just to get to it. So you talk about a pain. You think yours are a pain. We have a regular customer, and we had to replace, her canister assembly, and Johnny Bars, our ASE Master Certified Tech, had to drop the differential to get to it, which I thought was what engineered that? Anyway, bottom line, it probably seemed like a good idea at the time. So I would take, the next time this happened, or if you've got one now, I would take the old one apart to determine where the dust and dirt is getting into the system, because they won't hurt the wires. You can't hurt the wires. I say you can't. They're sealed. So it's not a wiring connection issue. But if there are some, and we all know that there's a vent hose that goes from the top of the fuel tank that's controlled by that module that opens the vent on top of the gas tank filler tube, but none of that is open to atmosphere, except when you have the gas cap off, and that's not your problem, because that part's clean. It's during the field when you're out driving this vehicle where this happens. So that's exactly what I would do. I would determine how dust and what caused the failure, and then I would I'd start to get my modification hat on. I love to modify things. I'd love to, and I'm sure that you could come up with something there. If not, the next thing what you might do is send me a note, and the next time we have one that we have to replace, I'll ask Johnny to save the old one for me, and a Ford, GM. They would all be similar in operation, and we'll see what kind of a dirty. It's got to be designed for a dirty environment because it's mounted outside underneath the vehicle.
Well, the problem with it is a local shop. What they're doing is running a 5/8-inch radiator hose from that canister and putting it up underneath the engine compartment, and they're putting what I would call an old valve cover filter.
Yeah, right.
Ones you used to have they're putting one of those on the end of the hose up under the engine compartment so that it draws air from up there. My question is why haven't they put that hose, General Motors or Ford or whoever, why haven't they installed a line like that up there into the clean air canisters so that they could draw air from that? Or is it because of the vapors that they can't allow that to be crossed because of the, I'll just call it environmental protection?
Well, obviously, what the manufacturers do is they look at the mandates for emissions, and they look at engineering, and their number one goal for automobile makers. Besides building cars that we'll buy and nice, pretty cars and all the accessories and power and what have you, number one is to create they sell car by the measurement of pollutants per year. That's how I interviewed Michael Sprague from Kia, and he said, Bobby, since we make cars pretty and we do all these things, but really we sell cars by the toxic pound, if you will, by how much waste comes out of the car, and they get penalized. That's why the EV market is so popular, Phil, and not popular, it's getting popular, but that's why it will come on us, because the manufacturers get rewards and points, financial points, for making EV cars. And I know there's a lot of people who, oh yeah, but it takes energy to make the juice for the battery, but that's a whole new scenario. Anyway, the bottom line, the net effect is that EV car is a clean, zero emission, and by 2050 you're going to see probably a 40% reduction in the internal combustion engine. I'm not happy about that on one side of me, because I love to hear the piston noise and all the cams of a V8 engine like I have, but I love technology. But getting back to we're coming up on a break, getting back to your particular instance, to me, to run a hose to under the hood, even with a filter, it may be cleaner than what you have, but that's not the answer, because there should be no fumes in that vent. So I don't understand that. That's why, see, I haven't had one apart, and now you've piqued my interest, because the hose that they run up there, I mean, obviously there's some vent, but that vent won't have fumes. So if that's the case, you could run that. You could run that same scenario. You could run the vent to a place inside the cabin. But I'd have to look at, before I would do that, I'd have to look at how it's made. Hey, thanks for your call, and that's intriguing. Folks, I'll take your calls when I come back. In the service bay this week, an 05 Chevy Silverado. The truck was experiencing a front brake noise and a pull to the left when stopping. We performed a thorough inspection and found the front pads completely worn out on the driver's side. The passenger side looked to be okay, but we noticed a loose wheel bearing on that side. Why would the pads be worn on just one side? It was a seized driver's side brake caliper. So we replaced the pads and rotors on the front along with the driver's side caliper. Also replaced the passenger side wheel bearing. Our parts choice for the repair, Omnicraft. With today's complex vehicles, not every part works or works well. Quality, fit, and function is a belief system in my shop. Approved and backed by Ford Motor Company for most non-Ford and non-Lincoln vehicles, Omnicraft quality brake parts will help ensure vehicle reliability and longevity. Learn more about Omnicraft brakes and other Omnicraft parts at omnicraftautoparts.com. Omnicraft Auto Parts, backed by Ford. Being car care aware is important all year round, but winter is an especially critical time as harsher conditions can strain your automobile. Here are a few items to check, courtesy of the Car Care Council. Winter means shorter days and longer nights. It's a great time to make sure interior and exterior lights are working properly, and don't forget to make sure your headlights are properly aimed. This item is often overlooked. The best way to warm up your engine in the winter is to drive gently at the start. Make sure your ice scraper and snow brush are accessible, and replenish your emergency kit. Jumper cables, a flashlight, blankets, extra clothes, bottled water, non-perishable food, and a first aid kit with any medication that may be needed. It may seem like a lot, but better safe than sorry. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove compartment. That's carcare.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call, and I'll invite your calls now. Hannah will take your call, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air and discuss the issues that you have with your automobile. Maybe I can help you, and at least what I can do, I can't repair your car over the phone, but what I can do is I can give you some buzzwords so that when you go to your local service provider, you know the right question to ask. And quite often, that's where the lack of communication really comes from, just as it is with our doctors. You know, we go to the doc and we wait for whatever length of time it takes to get in to see the doctor, and we're in there for a short period of time, and the doctor, as a rule, will say, "Do you have any questions?" And you say, "Well, yeah, I've got a couple," and then the doctor gives you answers, and then about the time you leave and get in the elevator to go back to your car, Gosh, I wish I'd have asked that. I couldn't think of it. And I've even written down questions to ask my doctor, and especially when I had loved ones that were in the hospital. And I find that helps me. So you can write down your questions to ask me during the week. And then on Saturday, from 10 till noon Eastern Time, you can call, whether you're here hear the program live in your hometown or not. We are live every Saturday from 10 to noon Eastern Time, 888 Car Clinic. So now's a good time, 888-227-2546, and I'll give you some buzzwords, and I'll help you better understand the nature of the vehicle that you buy or you drive, and that's really important. I do want to give a special shout out to our affiliate of the week, and that would be our newest affiliate, KJFF Straight Talk 1400 AM. And I also want to shout out to Ryan Reinheimer, the program director, and Les Tuttle, the communications operation manager at Car Clinic's newest affiliate, KJFF Straight Talk 1400 AM. And folks, KJFF holds the title of being Jefferson County's only daily medium chronicling area news and information. So a special thank you, KJFF, for broadcasting Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We appreciate you. And folks, if you live in that area, let's hear from you at 888-227-2546. So Governor Cuomo announces an EV charging program and rebates. So the New York State Department of Public Service issued a report recommending the establishment of a statewide utility-supported make-ready, quote-unquote, make-ready program to promote responsible electric vehicle charging station deployment. What does that mean? They're going to put stations, so when you buy an EV car, or if you think about buying an EV car, you don't have to worry about finding a place. Actually, this program is accelerating electric vehicle ownership, which is key to New York's nation-leading plan to fight climate change and grow our clean energy economy. And Cuomo said in a statement, and I quote, "The Make Ready initiative will direct the state's utilities to build the grid infrastructure needed to establish the installation of publicly accessible chargers, encouraging more New Yorkers to choose electric vehicles while creating jobs and ensuring our energy dollars stay in state." And folks, that makes a lot of sense. Whether you're for it or not, whether you're a diehard ICE, internal combustion engine folks or car owner like I are not, and I love the EV cars, that initiative is going to help drive not only the sales of EV, but you see, from a standpoint of commerce, that's just another opportunity. Think about that. Think about the opportunity that we all have if there's something that's new that's coming on the market. So that gives jobs. So I'm 100% on board with EVs. Let's go to New York. And speaking of the Governor Cuomo, Alfred from New York, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby, how you doing? It's raining here. How's the weather there?
Well, it had been raining off and on, so much so that I have not washed my car in 2 weeks. Shame on me, and it's been really cold. But this morning, it was like...
I love that. I call that a poor man's car wash. You're the best.
I do all my own car washing, but the weather's beautiful today, thank you, and it's going to be 55, maybe even 60 degrees. If it reaches 60 degrees and there's no wind, then yours truly is going to clean his car this afternoon. But let's talk about your car, your Caravan. What's up?
I don't know if you caught it or not, but I am calling from WNBF in Binghamton, New York. I don't know if you heard that or not. But,
I did not.
I have an 08 Dodge Grand Caravan SXT. Two really quick problems. First problem is I noticed that the wire harness under the sliding door grinded up under the belt that goes under the door. And then I looked it up, and I could have swore I saw a recall on it because the wires cause a fire and blah, blah, blah. But the next thing that drove me absolutely berserk is the door handles came off it. Both sides. Have you heard about this? And what is your fix for a door handle and that stupid wire harness?
Well, door handle, two ways. You buy a new assembly, and of course you have to paint it because it won't be color matched. Or you go to a recycling yard and buy a used one. Here's the issue that I have with a used door handle. Surely, and you got an 08 vehicle. So what is this?
Yes.
20. So what is that? 12 years old, right?
Yes.
So there's got to be an improved door handle to replace the ones that broke, because there was obviously some engineering problem or some process to begin with that didn't produce a handle that wasn't easy to break. And some cars have this.
It's like a thin piece of metal breaks off or something.
Really.
And I watched it on YouTube and blah blah blah. He made it remanufactured that metal piece. I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, what I'm thinking is that there's two options you have. Number one, you can go to a junkyard and buy a used one.
Okay.
And if you find one the right color, then you don't have to worry about repainting it. So, and if you can put this on yourself, then that's a cheap repair. However, if a week after you do your repair, and you got to learn how to get the panel off and all that trick stuff, and sometimes it's easy and sometimes not. But so, if the used one that you put on broke a week later, but only because it's the same one, it's just like you had, then you'd kick yourself and say, I wish I hadn't done that. So it would be my goal to two different ways I have to go here. Let me. Number one, you could you got a pen, write this down.
Yes.
Okay. O'Reilly Auto Parts is one of the nation's largest leading, if not leading, auto parts vendor and company, and that we use and we endorse, because we have a partnership with them and we use those products. But one of their lines is Dorman, D-O-R-M-A-N. And I mentioned Dorman several times on Car Clinic because of all of the aftermarket parts manufacturers, which are, as a rule, tied into the original equipment manufacturers as well. They just box them differently. The bottom line is Dorman is really big and keen on replacing the broken part. In other words, if you rather than replacing your heart, which is a big deal, you replace a valve in your heart. Well, maybe not to that extent, but that's a Dorman methodology. And so we'll find, for instance, like some plastic parts, and Dorman might be aluminum. And so it's a better product than the car came with. So what I would do is I would first go to an OAP, O'Reilly Auto Parts store, and ask to look at a Dorman catalog to see if they include your door handle, because if there's enough demand in the aftermarket for the door handle, Dorman will be the company that'll come up with the answer. You see where I'm going there? Okay, so that's one of the things that I would do, and that's the easiest thing to do. The second thing that I would do is I would go to a dealer, a Caravan, a Dodge dealer, and I would ask to see a new door handle. And I bet you, if they stock, a dozen of them, you can bet your bottom dollar they wouldn't stock a dozen if that wasn't a hot seller. So, and then more than likely they're going to have this door handle in stock, and then you can compare the new one, the quote unquote new one, before you buy it in the box, right there on the counter, with your old one, and look at the piece that broke. And I'll bet you there's a webbing that's been added to it, in the weak point of the breakage, because that's what manufacturers do. They make parts. They make parts lighter, because they want the whole car to be light, and they really go to great lengths to make that happen. In fact, Corvette years ago actually created a motorized flap, so that when you close the hatch window, when you close the door, if you got all the windows up, it doesn't want to close right, and you got to slam it. So they actually invented, or not invented, they created and installed a release. Yeah, a release, so that when you went to close the hatch, the air would get out of this flap. And so those are the kind of things that people don't know about, and we don't even know about it until we repair one or two. And then after we have the third case of the same problem, and I'll give you one example. Then I'm going to go on to Jesse, and I take your calls, folks. But Alfred, another example is the 0567 Hemi Chrysler 300. The valve seats fall out, and when they do, destroys the engine. And
okay.
So that's not just onesies and twosies. I mean, that's a major issue. In fact, one of my dearest friends had 76,000 miles on her 300, and she says, hey, she called. She said, Bobby, I'm at the bank and my engine is making this crazy noise. It doesn't run. It runs crazy. What have you? I said, well, let's tow it in, and it was too late because it had already self-destructed, and we put a reman engine, but the reman engine had an upgrade on the valve seats, because the manufacturer we bought the reman engine from not only remans those engines, they fix all the bugs that came from the factory. You see where I'm going there? But
so the wire harness, you think I should just, is there anything I can look up for a recall on that? What would you go to if you were checking on a recall?
Same scenario. That wire harness for that sliding door is in a little alligator track that unwinds. Yeah. Actually, they don't give a lot of trouble, but so you might want to go with a factory replacement. But again, check the doorman. Who knows? They may have that and not have the other. Hey, thanks for your call from New York. I'm going to take Jesse's call when I come back, and your call at 888-227-2546.
Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you by the world's leading manufacturer of AGM batteries, Clarius. How many of you ever heard the word Clarius? How many of you could name the brand of battery in your automobile? Let's say you drive a Chevrolet or a Ford or a Chrysler or a Mercedes. Doesn't have a Mercedes battery. You know, it would have, actually, believe it or not, 1 in 3 batteries is a Clarius in the world. I find that so very interesting. So the next time you hear of a battery, and I'll give an example, Optima battery, that's a Clarius owned brand. And Optima batteries have 99.99% pure lead. The Optima battery will actually last up to 3 times longer than traditional flooded batteries. So for me, the Optima battery is the ultimate power source. You can learn more about the Optima battery at optimabatteries.com. Fancy that. That's optimabatteries.com. Let's go to Jesse. Jesse, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding. Appreciate your patience.
Good morning, Bobby from Owego, New York. How you doing?
Just terrific, I tell you. So I don't know if you heard me talking about Governor Cuomo earlier. You know, in the EV infrastructure. I think that's really, I could say way cool, but it's beyond that. It's a way to increase revenue. It's a way to and have cleaner air. And I think it's just, I don't know anything about the man, except I like what he's doing with regard to transportation and automobiles and EVs. But I know that's not why you called, or maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, no, actually, I'm not even going to go there with that, Governor, because that's where I am. I'm in the Capitol right now, and I can't wait to get out of here.
What's going on?
Anyway, I'm also listening to you from AM 1290 WMBS in Binghamton.
Cool.
So anyway, we got a lot of diseases going on around in the world, and a lot of people don't think, that can also relate to a vehicle. So how do we boost our vehicle's immune system?
Well, of course, that all started that immune system boost. The easy answer is the cabin air filter. That is a filter that separates the toxins, traps the toxins that come into the car from outside of the automobile. So that's the primary, it hasn't been that long, Jesse, that we didn't have cabin air filters. So a cabin air filter would be, in my opinion, the easiest way to maintain a healthier environment within the automobile. But it's a funny thing you should say that, because just yesterday, I said, my nose must be more sensitive, but it wasn't. I was behind a diesel, and then another time I was behind an older car, and I could smell the car. So I reached over and put my heater on the recirc. There's a separate button so that I could shut off the outside air, and then I opened the rear 2 windows. And then I cracked both front ones to flush the car, and then put the windows back up, and I fixed the problem. But I noticed, and I'm very acute. It's like, if someone smokes and you're around them, you can smell the smoke on their clothes. Well, the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know, anything that you can add?
Well, were you following Captain Jim?
I'll follow Captain Jim anywhere.
Yeah, there you go. And hey, we got that new disease coming from overseas,
Heard about that, yes, and
yeah.
It's been what, a couple, 3 cases we've had now, or more.
Yeah, and some people are trying to say, we're not taking this seriously enough, and are there any ideas and or suggestions? I just simply said, why don't you just rename it the Kung Flu?
Yeah, well, hey, if that works, man, if that would bring the attention to it, we'll name it Kung Flu.
Yeah, I don't think that'll get me anywhere, but just a thought.
No, it's just a thought, but I tell you, the cabin air filter. I want to say this: you, and I don't know how many people are listening. Let's just say that there are 100,000 people listening, or 500,000, or 2. You would never believe some of the cabin air filters that we replace. The technician, when they pull them out of the little sliding area, and sometimes they're ridiculously hard to get to, they actually will stop and go put on their gloves, because there's everything that you could possibly think of that is actually being just carried around in the car. And so
I have already found that out, and I think Fabio sent it to me, one of your guys, because I told him about my vehicle and I was looking for it.
Right.
They immediately sent me a location for it. I pulled it out, and it was dead mises.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing to me. And we used to breathe that stuff. And I'll tell you something else. Whenever we have like an evaporator core, that's very expensive to replace. So we have to pull the whole HVAC box out, and that box is the size of I don't know, it's maybe 2 feet by 18 inches, and it's heavy, and it contains, in fact, Tommy Bernardino, who is just like two steps away from being a master ASE technician. He had one out of a Jeep just this week. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, look at this. And he showed me the heater core, and you can see where the heater core was just flushing and leaking. And the heater core is a size smaller than half the size of a cigar box, and yet, or 2/3 the size of a cigar box, and yet he had to pull out. It's like open hood surgery just to get to it. I said, why won't they just have a trap door? Why wouldn't a manufacturer have a trap door so you could open it up? The problem with having that is they make the HVAC system self-contained with all the little motors and the evaporator core and the heater core and the blend doors, so you can blend and make your temperature what you want it to be, and then they insert it into the car during the assembly line. So it's not about the repair industry, it's about assembling the car new. And Jesse, probably a company like Lear or Johnson Controls makes the HVAC units, and I'm sure there are other companies, Delphi, but they make the HVAC units that fit. So, and the manufacturer, we think of the manufacturers like a Jeep or a Mercedes or what have you. We think of manufacturers making the cars. Well, they design the cars, but on the assembly line, they're just parts installers. They're mass producers. And like Henry Ford started the whole thing. We all think that they've got these people in the back room that are making these parts. Well, they make the frame, and they weld the frame or glue it if it's aluminum, and tack it together. But by and large, they assemble parts that come. Never forget this. Now, just a quick story. I watched at a Chrysler assembly plant where they unloaded a semi truck that had wheels and tires. The wheels and tires were on, think of a merry-go-round, or I guess think of a gum machine where you put the quarter in and the gum comes out in the chute. Well, they backed this semi into the assembly plant door. They opened the semi door, and they pulled a pin or whatever it is that they had to pull, and these sets of mounted tires on specific rims automatically didn't roll because they were flat, rolled on the roller assembly into the plant, and then that matched the cars that were going. It was just really, and it's called parts on time, and that way the manufacturers don't have to stock all the parts because the parts arrive when they need it. It's just like you go to a restaurant and you say, I want a hamburger, and they make you the hamburger. Well, if they had 50,000 hamburgers they had to make, they got a machine that spits them out, and when you walk in, they're all fresh because they're all freshly delivered. And that's exactly the way that I saw in the Stratus. It was a Stratus Chrysler plant. Anyway, very interesting. So we'll have to stay tuned to this new Kung Flu that you're talking about.
Well, just an idea.
Hey, if maybe by golly, you got something there. Hopefully,
as long as I don't offend anyone, that's all I ask.
Nah, you wouldn't do that. Hey,
No, I wouldn't, Bob.
No, take care. See ya.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you as well. So, oh, gosh. I'll never forget. I have to tell this story again. I go to New York to race a car. Owego, not Oswego, Owego, New York. And we take a car up there. Our little round track car was not made for the track that we went to, but we didn't have a place to race it. And don't ask me why I went to the expense and trouble to travel so many miles from Pensacola, Florida to Owego, New York to race, but we did that. And we got there, and you know, when you're on a racetrack, you got all these different racers and with all different cars, and they look at each other like, you know, what's he got under the hood, you know, or what's that car? And then you watch other cars on the track to see how fast they are. Just speaking of racing, and the the Rolex 24 starts in a couple hours. Well, actually, starts in about an hour and a half. But the bottom line, I've never been treated so warmly and congenial is the word that comes to my mind. Friendly. I mean, you know, and people walk up and they know that your car is not as fast as theirs because I was outclassed there. We had a full body car and they were open wheel cars, and they had disc brakes and we didn't have any disc brakes, so our brakes ran out because we were used to running in a bowl. You know, the speedway here, which is the fastest half-mile speedway in the world, and that's the Snowball Derby in Pensacola, Florida. And folks, just so you'll know, that I learned when we won the Snowball Derby, it's a half mile, but it's measured on the outside of the track. Just, you know, not many people know that. So while it may be the fastest half mile, is it really a half mile track? Well, that's a play on words. Basically it is if you walk around the upper half of the bowl, and that's a half mile. Just like the Daytona National Speedway is what, 2.5 miles, a tri-oval, or 2.553 or whatever it is. Well, is that measured on the outside, the center of the track, or down on the inside of the track? So, and of course that's an easy answer, but next time I have Terry on here. So Terry, if you're tuned in, well, he can't hear me, he's listening to all those engines down, I'll ask that same question. But anyway, very interesting, folks. We didn't have any brakes, and a driver came in and said, Bobby, you got to do something, the brakes aren't working. So that's a true story, folks. So we jacked the car up. I took a hammer and I banged on the back of the plate, the backing plate for the drum brakes on the race car. And I looked Aaron, who was our driver, in the eye, and I said, "It's okay, it's okay now." And he goes out, and he darn near runs over somebody. He said, "It didn't help me at all." I said, "Well, what do you expect me to do? You know, I can't make the brakes that you know they're overheated and faded." Anyway. That was life. It was enjoyable, and thanks for letting me tell you that story, and thanks for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. K-Seal, it's one of our partners, but I'll tell you what, we save money. We have these cars that come in the shop because we've been in business 48 years in automotive service, and that are not worthy of the money to spend. Now, some cars are. If you've got a used car and it's going to take $5,000 to make it whole, then you can, what we call, buy your own used car back. If your budget is so that you could only afford to spend $5,000 or maybe $8,000, if you bought another used car for $7,000 or $6,000 or $5,000, how would you know what condition it was in? Because 2 weeks after you buy it, it could blow up or it could have the same problem. So in that instance, we say it's better in that instance to buy your own car back. It's because you know what your car's shortcoming was, because it didn't just roll over and die. Now, that's all well and good if you can afford that, and if that sounds good to you, but if you are not sure and you have like a cooling system, that's where the K-Seal comes in, because we add K-Seal to the cooling system, and if you have a cracked block or a head gasket or a leak somewhere in the intake manifold, typical of GM cars, well, Ford cars too, then that will stop the leak. It's a pour-in, one-step solution, and it is the best. It's ceramic in its formulation, so it doesn't clog any part of the cooling system. And there's only one thing better about K-Seal than K-Seal itself. It's available at O'Reilly Auto Parts, which is also one of our partners, where at O'Reilly they test your battery, they check for engine light that gives you the code, recycling, O'Reilly Auto Parts, wiper blade installation. And I'll tell you, on some cars, that's a real challenge, folks. On some cars, you have to put the car in wiper blade replacement mode in order to make that happen. Anyway, O'Reilly Auto Parts and K-Seal, I'm proud to have those as two companies that not only I promote, but we use them in our business, just like the Ford parts. And recently we had an opportunity to use a Ford part, and you go to fordparts.com, because at that site there are high quality parts images, line art diagrams, and detailed product descriptions, and even a related part number section to help you find the right component for your vehicle. Take a tour next time you need, if you drive a Ford or a Lincoln product, take a tour at fordparts.com, and you'll see exactly why I was excited about it and why I share that with you, from me to you. That's about all the time that we have for today's broadcast. I have to tell you what a fun time it is for me every Saturday from 10 till noon to join you, and I appreciate you joining me. So next Saturday, I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, we only partner with companies we believe in, like K-Seal, which is an excellent option for repairing a coolant leak, especially for older vehicles that may not be worth the cost to repair. But don't take our word for it. K-Seal was recently used to repair the block on a 1913 Type 22 Bugatti, the oldest running Bugatti in the U.S. with a value of approximately $2 million. You can find K-Seal at Menards, in addition to fine part stores nationwide. Learn more at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, pick up 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $28.95 and get a $10 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. Protect your engine from sludge and wear with Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake up.